The Spanish World Cup winner, Janie says in no moment did she consent to kiss the country's Football Federation president, Luis Rubiales.
And this comes, of course, as players are announcing a boycott over it. They say they're not going to play. That's not just the women's game in Spain. It's the Lionesses are getting very upset about it here in England. And some of the Spanish men are saying they won't play until something is done.
Well, Hermoso herself said she was vulnerable and the victim of aggression. And as we say, the rest of the team have said they won't play.
Well, they want him to be booted out, don't they?
As does the Spanish government, actually. They've actually started legal action to suspend him from his post.
Well, he's 46-year-old Mr. Rubiales, and as you can see there from coverage in the Daily Mail, he grabbed her, basically, and kissed her full on the lips during the awards ceremony following their victory at the World Cup. And it's really spoiled things now, this controversy, hasn't it? On top of that, he didn't just grab her and kiss her. You can tell what sort of, in my view, you can tell what sort of a guy he is, because when they had their win, he was seen, in front of the world, doing what they call a crotch grab, you know what I mean? Which was highly inappropriate and made him just look thuggish. And if that's the sort of man he is, then you can understand the women being as upset as they are.
Yeah.
And not just the women.
Again, I'm all for standing up for... I think men are victimised, actually, with some things around these sort of issues, sometimes. But I have to say, when you're in that position and doing that, and that crotch grab just looked very odd, actually.
It's totally inappropriate.
Anyway, the Lionesses, as Anne said, have sort of spoken in solidarity. They've released a statement saying unacceptable actions allowed to happen by a sexist and patriarchal organisation. Abuse is abuse. We've all seen the truth. The behaviour of those who think they are invincible must not be tolerated, and people shouldn't need convincing to take action against any form of harassment. We all stand with you. Well, let's see what former referee and FIFA instructor Janie Frampton makes of it all. Hi, Janie. Good to see you this morning. What do you think of this?
Well, again, I think I share pretty much most of those comments. It's totally inappropriate behaviour. And what makes him think that he can actually, firstly, what he did when they won with the crotch grab, I think is just shocking. When you know that the world presses on you, why do it? It's like scratching your bottom in public, isn't it? You just don't do it. But secondly, the kiss, what on earth, even in the moment of excitement, and I've had many of those in football, but I've never felt that I'm going to turn around and kiss the nearest man to me on the lips. You have to control yourself. And what's made me really cross is he's come out and said that he asked if it was okay to kiss her, and she said yes. But when you look at the video clip, there's no way that there was that sort of time to have that sort of dialogue. So I feel that he's not being quite truthful on the back of it all.
Have you heard, as is being suggested in some of the reports now, that the Spanish female team feel that they're being a bit controlled? There obviously is a misogyny problem, or at least that's what's being suggested. They don't like their coach very much, and he appears to be very controlling in his behaviour.
Yes, and that is the problem, Anne, because these people are in positions of power. And then they do feel that there is a control element. And if that player spoke out, it could affect her ability to make the team at a later date. The government are against him. Both national teams are against him. Why on earth has the Spanish FA not taken action and just taken it out of his hands? I'm sorry, but we can't have this sort of misogynistic behaviour within our organisation.
How important is it, actually, that the Spanish men's team have said what they've said? And I mean, basically, some of their players saying, well, we're not going to play till it's sorted out, in terms of solidarity.
Yeah, Stephen, that's brilliant. It really is. Because I've spoken to many people in the last few days, and interestingly enough, some of the men I've spoken to have said, yeah, it's inappropriate, but hey, is he really going to lose his big job because of it? But you need to walk in the shoes of a woman who's on the receiving end of that behaviour before you can actually know how it feels. And that's where I think it's brilliant that the male team has also come out and supported, the women.
I mean, clearly, as we were saying they've got a problem in the Spanish female team there. I mean, has it been like this elsewhere too? Is this how difficult it has been for women in football?
Oh, for sure. And in different roles in football, you know, be it players, referees or coaches. We've had several cases over the years, particularly of coaches that have taken advantage of female players. You know, basically, there was one case many years ago, I won't name names, but he was having a relationship with a 17-year-old in his team, and he was selecting that team. And of course, that also then meant, is that fair for the rest of the team, whether they get selected or not, or do you have to sleep with the coach before you get selected? So when you're in a position of power, you cannot do these things. You know, whether you want to or not, you just can't. And the Spanish FA have to take action. He's going to have to go eventually. He can't possibly stay in his role. It's untenable. So just stop it right now in its tracks, get him gone, and let's talk about the fabulous success of the women's team.
What would you say to those people who've been in touch this morning? And there have been a few, and actually quite a few of them have been women, I have to say, who said, look, it's just it's just a moment of excitement. He was caught up in the moment.
And I do get that. But like I said, I've been caught up in the moment in football, and I've not turned to the nearest man and given him a full kiss on the lips with my excitement. You have to, when you're in positions of power, if you like, or of a profile, you just can't do it. You know, you just can't. It's inappropriate. And I feel really strong now, the fact that he's come out and put this story out, and we assume it's not correct as the player is denying it emphatically, and the video evidence would also probably go on the side of the player as well. So why are we still talking about this? Please, let's just talk about the football. Spanish FA, do something constructive.
Yeah, and it's interesting that not only is it the kiss itself that is getting everybody worked up, but Jenny Hermoso, the player, saying she's been, for the last few days, she's been under terrific pressure from, she doesn't actually say, to withdraw her basic complaint. She said the pressure is really upsetting her now.
Yes, and I do get that. And I've been in positions in the past where that's happened, where people have tried to downplay situations that they've not been on the receiving end. She needs to stick to her guns. Otherwise, it's not going to stop. You know, these things will happen again in the future. And again, you have to nip it in the bud now, and you have to stand strong. I'm not a fan of the whole woke world that we are in now, but we're in it. So we have to live it. And we have to live it by the standards that are laid out in it. And I feel that is completely inappropriate. And I think also, Anne, sometimes as a woman, you have almost a sixth sense of whether a man is doing this innocently or whether it's a misogynistic thread in there. And I think that's something else that needs to be taken into consideration. And looking at his crotch grab to start with, I think that says an awful lot about the man. I'm sorry, it does.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Look, as always, it's good to see you, Janie. Thanks very much indeed.
Yeah.